I'm Julian Davison, anthropologist and historian.
This way of life is just not here anymore.
I've studied many different cultures, and this time I'm taking a trip to Taiwan. This island has over 23 million people. And a fifth of them are Hakkanese.
保留客家系，可以保留很好的客家文化。
I'm going to explore this unique culture, but I need some help.
这是保留下来的。
I'm Natalie Pickles, model, designer, and proudly half Hakka.
来，妈妈好赶你。
I want to know more about my Hakka roots.
豆后丝。
Together,
Oh my God, you have to make up one.
we'll journey across the mountainous northwest Taiwan and explore a Hakka heritage revival.
Cheers to Hakka.
These winding roads in northwestern Taiwan are a legacy of what was a vital transport route for the Hakka community, who migrated to these hills from China more than 3 centuries ago.
Today it's part of the Taiwanese provincial highway system, but it's recently been rebranded as the Taiwan Romantic Route 3, 150 kilometers of highway connecting 4 counties.
The Hakka are a branch of the Han Chinese with a population worldwide of about 80 million, and they make up the second largest ethnic group in Taiwan.
I'm on a journey to explore the rich cultural heritage of these hills. But first I'm off to meet Natalie Pickles. She's a Taiwanese model and host, and she's actually half Hakkanese herself.
I have lived in Taiwan for most of my life. My dad's British, my mom is Hakka, and my grandparents were born in these very mountains. Like a lot of younger people, I know little about my heritage. That's about to change. I'm going to be Julian's guide and use this journey to reconnect with my culture in a fresh new way.
Hi, Julian. I'm Natalie.
Hey,
Very nice to meet
Natalie.
you.
Yeah, likewise. Difficult terrain.
Where was historian Chen Ban to understand how important mountain trails were to the Hakka people?
这是以前的这个叫做大山背古道了。
We are in Hengshan, one of many Hakka villages along the highway. Around 130 years ago, settlers used trails in these mountains to connect them to the outside world.
So there was one main trail, though, and then lots of little ones going up into the hills.
这等于是山上的泉水那边慢慢汇聚之前的小河了，那汇聚到这边来，接下来它就要运送到那个城市里头。
These well-trodden paths served as commercial roads for the goods that the Hakka traded. And more than a century later, this highway now serves the same purpose.
We're looking out across this plain with the river. What does this tell us about the Hakka, this geography?
客家人在近山或是内山地区呢，这个生存能力相当的强了，所以种田呢，还有茶叶啊，还有樟脑，这个是客家人的强项啊。
Hakka people established themselves in the mountains here in Taiwan, but it is the origins of their name that gives a clue to their identity. The Mandarin term for the word Hakka literally translates as guest families. Unlike other Han Chinese subgroups, the Hakka have no identifiable homeland. Sometime in the mid-17th century, the first Hakka pioneers crossed the Formosan Strait to Taiwan.
在清担任之前，好像没有很多人在这边住。
没错，因为这边以前是原住民的地方。
Yeah.
Really? So it was a very dangerous place to be.
从中国来台湾的人啊，叫做九死一生啊，10个来只有1个可以生存，因为这他的狩猎区嘛。
对。
啊，所以他要这边来，他要生存一定要进来到这边来嘛。可是他进来这边呢，两边就冲突了。
Yeah, well, I mean, it's very like the Wild West situation in America.
The danger to these new immigrants was the competition for the resources in these very hills. What I'm not getting is what made this hilly terrain so highly sought after that the Hakka would risk their lives.
因为他到这边除了基本的生活就是种田之外呢，那赚钱就是要往山里面跑。第一个是樟脑，山上以前这边都是樟树。哎，这棵就是了，樟树就它。
哦，这是樟树 ，Yeah。
就它。樟树可以3000年。
Wow, 3,000 years.
Wow.
That's amazing.
在1895年的那一年啊，台湾樟脑是全世界生产70%。
The evergreen camphor tree is native to Taiwan, and its products were highly sought after by merchants worldwide. 1895, the island fell under Japanese colonial rule, and it was made into a model colony, which included rapid industrialization to provide vital resources like camphor for Japan's expanding empire. This was part of it, a 400-kilometer-long highway from Taipei to the south. The road access opened up bigger opportunities to exploit resources in these remote forests, and in particular, transporting valuable camphor oil to the rest of the world. We are going to find out how camphor oil is made.
Hello, 你好 Mr. Wu. Hi.
樟树打成木片，它有味道，有吗？
Ooh, what does it smell like to you?
Wow, wow, very nostalgic. Lovely.
We're in Tongluo, Miaoli County. Wu Zezheng's grandfather opened this camphor plant back in the late 1930s. The factory still extracts oil using traditional methods, a distillation process by steaming them in huge vats. And it's our turn to help.
老板，我们来帮你采一采。Like doing a bouncing bet. Yeah, I think I'm no good at this.
Okay. Well, I think there's a technique. You can press it towards the outside. Is that full enough, or do we need to put some more in on top?
Oh, you need to add more. It's not enough.
Oh, should we add some more?
Yep. 那工给他做好。Julian, you're brilliant at this.
I was born to be a camphor man.
The more compact the chips are in the fat, the faster the steaming.
So it really is like a pressure cooker in your kitchen, except we're dealing in camphor chips, and the temperature is going to go up to 200 degrees centigrade.
So hot.
The steam brings out the oil, and it condenses as it travels through the pipe and down to an outlet below. It takes up to 4 hours to fill one container.
他们就做医疗啦，做炸药啦，还有这个是做塑胶的原料。
Oh wow.
这个做肥皂效果很好啊，洗一洗1个小时之内，那个蚊子也不敢靠近。
It's kind of like baby oil, I would say, but with a really nice sense of smell.
Nice.
Camphor was an essential ingredient in the making of celluloid film, propelling the rise of cinema and amateur photography in the late 1880s. But the industry eventually declined after the introduction of cheap chemicals to replace this natural resource. Wu wants to take us on a tour of the land to showcase just how big an industry this once was.
这边早期是叫樟树村，因为这边取得方便，到处都是樟树，大家都是做这个行业，那个经济价值高了。
所以那时候你阿公可能从种田啊这些，然后转行到说，做这个樟脑油，因为想说那个时候需求量很高。
哎，对。
Right, he saw this as something where he could change his life
I'm beginning to get a sense of just what it must have been like around 3 centuries ago, moving from China to these mountains.
We're walking through a landscape transformed by human endeavor. Originally, there were the camphor forests, or wilderness, and then came the oilmen, and a paved highway was built so they could take their produce to the marketplace. And today, 200 years later, we have a provincial highway.
The highway spurred Taiwan's economy and the lives of the Hakka that lived here. We're headed north to a historical center to see how this frontier area found peace. We're traveling along a highway that cuts a path through Taiwan's northwestern mountain range.
The whole of this region that we've been driving through is pretty hilly.
Natalie is bringing me to a Hakka town called Beipu in Hsinchu County. These mountains were home to Sasiat Aboriginals, but the arrival of Hakka settlers brought conflicts.
We are meeting Po Jiang. His ancestor, Jiang Xiaoluan, arrived here in 1835 and set up the very first administration to help govern this frontier area. This building was at its center, a type of town hall.
This was kind of a frontier zone, and just up there in the hills were the Aboriginal tribes, and they weren't very happy about these mainland Chinese coming in and taking their land.
江家的祖先等于是率领这些农民爱丁进来这边，就是实际进来开垦，他等于是冲锋陷阵嘛，带着这些开垦的成员进来。
那当初是用什么样的方法去解决这个问题？
所以当时的清朝政府，他为了要解决这个纷争，所以要把这个地方纳入它的管理范围里面。在这块区域的这个边界地带，它设立了36座的爱寮，每一座爱寮都有派爱丁去驻守。
是。
所以当有发生一些攻击事件的话，那周边的这些爱丁就会跑去支援。
The indigenous population suffered great losses in the conflict and retreated deeper into the mountains.
冲突呢，慢慢的比较和缓之后，就是变成合作。
The Jingguangfu Mansion stands as a symbol to the pioneering spirit of the Hakka.
Each character in the name Jin Guangfu has a special meaning. Jin means fortune, Guang means Guangdong, representing the Hakka, and Fu comes from Fujian, representing the Hokkien.
This is very significant because on the mainland, the Hakka and the Fujianese were always at odds with one another, mainly land disputes. But here we see them working together in a spirit of cooperation.
And this resilient spirit was put to the test again nearly 60 years later. 1895 was the end of the Sino-Japanese War, and the Qing Emperor ceded control of Taiwan, then known as Formosa, to the Japanese. And the Hakka rose up again to defend their home.
那这边是一个广场。那在1895年的时候，江少祖就是在这个广场上面去招募他的义勇军，然后在这边起兵抗日。
Jiang Shaozu was only 19 when he led a resistance force against the Japanese from this very square. A monument in the town celebrates him and Jiang Xiuluan, the first administrator. Both are ancestors of Mr. Jiang.
那牌坊上它有记载着哈，像这边是江秀兰来这边开辟这个大爱地区的一个叙述。那左手边这边就是另外一位哈，江少祖。
Quite something to have a gateway like this in your hometown, dedicated to your ancestors.
Jiang Shaozu was eventually captured. Preferring death over surrender. It's amazing to learn about the Hakka spirit and their struggle to protect their new home.
It's a history that I am proud to be a part of.
There's an old saying from Hakka, which is 宁卖祖宗田，不忘祖宗言. And this phrase basically saying even you have to sell your land, leave your home, but never forget your roots. So at Spade Pool, we get to see these historical buildings. It really put a better image in my head of what life could be like in the past with my family.
Because I think you told me that your great-grandparents were tea pickers. I think we should see how they grow it.
Yes, I would love to explore that.
These are the rolling hills of Guangxi, northwestern Taiwan. We are meeting Luo Qingsi, a third-generation Hakka tea mogul whose family business has been running for over 80 years. Part of their factory has been converted into a museum, and we want to find out how this commodity changed people's fortunes in this area.
Subtropical, high elevation, and the right amount of sun and water created the perfect conditions to grow tea. He tells us that during the Qing dynasty, these leaves accounted up to 80% of Taiwan's export revenue.
我们客家人台三线对台湾最大贡献是茶叶了。
This map shows thousands of tea factories and how they were all connected.
On this map, what we're looking at is the different tea gardens. Yes.
台三线是内山，是往内。During 1930, Guangxi had biggest tea area.
Tea plantations replaced camphor forests, and more than 60% of it came from these hills. Traveling along mountain trails, the Hakka transported tea towards the ports in Taipei.
This whole map kind of explained the whole industry back then.
I want to know more about why tea from Taiwan was so much in demand. So it's time for a taste test.
Well, I mean, like a wine taster, this is something which takes many years of experience, I imagine, to be able to just look at that and know what to expect from the quality.
First is the house special blend, black tea.
Ooh, it's good tea. It's really nice.
Ditto.
Oriental beauty tea.
Smell the bouquet? Lovely.
Oh, don't take all of them.
I'm being a bit greedy, perhaps.
And finally, baozong tea.
Oh, I like this. I know this is a bit, I shouldn't say seaweed, but a little bit like taste of seaweed, but I love it. It's really nice. We got a winner.
Oriental beauty, is that it? That's really fabulous.
Today, Taiwan is still famed for its oolong tea, but the crown jewel of Hakka tea is my new favorite brew, Oriental Beauty. Its cultivation is totally unique and very Hakka. We're at Xi's tea plantation in Ermei to learn more about the origins of this premium drink.
What is it specifically about this bush that we see growing all around us that makes it Oriental Beauty tea?
我们这不能喷农药，
对，
喷下去就没有小叶蝉了。我们是要让生态平衡，让小叶蝉来颠食这个叶面的。所以说啊，它做出来的风味特别不一样，就是有一股这个蜂蜜香啦，水果的味道啦。
So the leafhopper is a good thing.
It is.
The leafhopper eats the leaves in order to get the sap on which they feed, and it's those very leaves that get picked and turned into tea. The insect thrives in lower, warmer elevations, like Mr. Xi's plantations.
小叶蝉经过这个叶面，它唾液的是用酶，这是没有着眼的，这没有咬过的，
这没有咬过的，可这个也是
绿绿的，
很适合吧？
它直的。
3月
Now it's time to return to my roots. My great-grandparents were tea pickers, and it's my turn to learn this back-breaking work.
你不能这样，旁边这样会掉。对，会掉。你要从上面这样子。
Ah, you can come on the top.
OK。
Okay.
不会掉。
Great. My God, it's going to take us ages to fill this basket.
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Great.
Perfect. That is going to make the most perfect cup of tea.
这个 OK 吗？
可以，你来。
Oh, I'm pretty sure this is a good one. I think I'm actually really good at tea picking.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going back to my roots like what my great-grandparents used to do.
It's amazing to think how people turn a problem like pests on a plantation into a commercial success. But I'm beginning to realize this can-do attitude is very much a part of our Hakka identity.
We went from migrant to farmer to businessman. And I have to say, as a girl who grew up in the city, I never realized how rich the Hakka culture is. And I have to say, I'm very proud of being a Hakka.
Turning misfortune into fortune. The Hakka have a rich history, a cultural heritage that is full of interest. And the romantic Route 3 plays an important part of that, because it allowed the produce of these hills, tea and camphor, to be taken to the cities, and that was the making of the Hakka fortune. But it didn't come easy. There were conflicts in these hills. That in itself was part of the creation of the Hakka identity, a kind of strength in adversity, which is why they play such an important part in the cultural fabric of this island.